Does this microphone have really good sound isolation?
Yeah, that one is also a dynamic microphone. Dynamic microphones really go in one. It's like a cone that ends. Yeah, so that's actually a very good microphone, the Shure SM55.
Yeah, but it's not a Rode microphone.
Wait, listen, that one costs a little more. So, I mean, like, look.
Yeah, because it's the style, the way it looks, not necessarily the capacity.
What's up, everybody?
Well, welcome to the Transmit Podcast.
What the fuck is wrong?
Trying something new here.
Yeah, we don't do new things here. We suck the same way we've always sucked until the day we die.
Clearing my throat. I'm wondering how many podcasts I've cleared my throat on. I don't even care anymore.
You really shouldn't care at this point, honestly. But
I remember in the first podcast where like I was obsessed with drinking water and keeping my throat clear and everything, so it sounded perfect. But now it's
really what you need to work on was talking more quickly.
Yeah.
But now you're way better at it. So like just through reps, you know, you've improved greatly. Because I remember I sent you a picture the first time I edited the podcast. Like just these gargantuan pauses, I had to like edit down.
The pauses were immense.
Yes, it was like watching Twilight.
Just gotta pour myself some water.
So I'm your host, Spike.
I'm Samantha.
And Victor's drinking.
I'm Victor.
There we go. So what I want to mention is we may we just had a brownout. And
yeah, this podcast almost wasn't recorded.
Oh God, that would have been of all the reasons. Now we would have covered the gambit of reasons that we might not have recorded a podcast.
It could black out again right now.
Don't fucking jinx us, you ass. We're sitting there and realistically, our thought was, look, there are two options here. One, it's just a brownout. Two, the year's really getting started now. Like it cleared its throat with the pandemic, and riots and murder hornets, and now this is the first plague.
This past Saturday, the asteroid came by.
Oh, it did? It just, how close was that? I never kept up.
Swung by. I don't know how close it was. Did you keep up with it?
I did not.
Okay, we'll talk about that next time because we have much more important things to talk about.
I just want to say that nobody has posted about the brownout on the Ring Neighbor app yet. So
that's weird. They'll say hey, someone walked down the street, but they won't be like, hey, is this a sign of the apocalypse? Yeah, some of that stuff is really weird. Oh yeah, someone licked my doorknob last night, so there's a doorknob licker out there. And other stuff.
Is that true? Or are you making that up?
Seriously, someone did that shit. Other people are like, oh yeah, this person stared into the camera of my Ring door thing for 15 minutes. There is a subset of people out there who do weird shit. Oh yeah, they do weird shit in the middle of the night, and the only thing that lets you sleep at night was the fact that you didn't know they existed. Someone out there gets some sort of creepy joy from just hanging out in front of your house, just staring at it. And you could have gone your entire life without knowing that guy existed. He works some night shift, so this is day off on a Tuesday. He's awake at 3 in the morning.
I know. I always think about what do these people do for a living who do all this weird shit?
Oh, yeah,
do they work your job?
Well, for one, my job is a daytime job, so what the fuck?
Which is why they have time at night.
Well, you see,
to run around acting like fucking weirdos.
See, I wouldn't be awake at night because my sleep schedule would put me asleep at that time.
Well, you could start work sometimes. Don't you guys start work at 1 o'clock sometimes?
Oh no, that's the people who shop the orders. I start at 7:30.
Well, maybe it's the shoppers.
It's the shop. There you go. It's our shoppers who listen. Grocery store shoppers who put together your home delivery orders. Freaks. All of them. No, they're frontline employees, essential employees, but also freaks. So we talked about we saw 2 Chris-June-Bale movies very recently.
Oh yeah, because this is we're in the month of Chris-June-Bale.
That was no.
Ow, that hurt my soul.
Please never do that again.
It's Chris-June-Bale.
Well, in honoring
so all this month we're going to be watching
Chris-June-Bale movies.
No.
Yes, I love this.
No.
Chris-June-Bale.
We're going to watch the entire Batman saga. Boom.
No.
Tomorrow.
The only thing that's worth watching is Ring of Fire.
And we can watch that. What was that? The Prestige or the Illusionist? I forget which one he's in.
The Mechanic. We can watch that too.
Oh, the Mechanic.
Oh yeah. You want to see Chris-June-Bale be super creepily skinny?
I seen that movie actually. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah, I never saw it.
It's the Machinist, not the Mechanic.
The Machinist, the Mechanic.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Listen, it's a similar skill set.
That's funny. The other day, Anthony thought the illusionist was the magician. It's funny how we downgrade it.
Yeah.
just a little bit.
Now, is that the Mandela
In films,
effect?
upgrade it.
You can't just say that was just Anthony thinking that. You both had that thought. You're like, well, which one was it? Was it this or was it that? And then I had to actually look it up. I was like, there's no fucking thing called The Magician. I was like racking my brain trying to, I'm like, there was no movie released called The Magician. What the fuck?
Not
The
yet.
Illusionist.
I think they wanted to call it The Magician. They're like, come on, dazzle it up a little bit.
Yeah, come on.
Okay, fine. The Illusionist.
Why are you making things up?
What?
No,
Who said they wanted to call it The Magician?
I'm just.
That
I'm not making.
sounds
I'm talking about like when
it's
they
a
were coming up.
hypothetical thing.
It's a hypothetical. Geez.
We're talking. We're telling some jokes about the movie making progress. It's called Yes and to Sam.
The script said The Magician, and then the
guy
producer
with
was like,
the guy with the cigar was like, you can't. The Magician sounds lame. Come on,
dress it up a little bit.
Come on, it's got to be a fancier title. And then the writer's sitting there like, Illusionist. There you go. That sounds.
It's the same thing with.
You got it there.
The Mechanic. They're like, this is my film, The Mechanic. And
Mechanic.
like, can you dress it up?
Yeah,
a
come
little?
on. That doesn't sound right. What you need something that sounds a little more technical.
The Machinist.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You're gonna be a Hollywood writer yet? It's like I already am, sir.
What was American Psycho? It was probably like.
Well, I wanted to draw a
Psycho Killer.
Yeah, well, I wanted to draw a comparison between.
It was a Bret Easton Ellis book. Thank you very much.
It was like anything. If it's worth consuming, they'll turn it into a movie. So don't worry about that. What I wanted to withdraw a comparison was that both these movies, we saw Equilibrium the next day, and the day before that we saw American Psycho. And I really thought that both of these movies were like about Christian-Bale's characters self-actualizing. Because we saw that that's American Psycho ending explained, and she mentions that him like accepting who he is and what he does was him self-actualizing, and in Equilibrium, like him self-actualizing was like becoming like a feeling person, and at the end he not only decides to feel but then makes the decision to not feel in order to fight the totalitarian government. And I thought that was an interesting like coincidence.
Yeah, I feel like he learns more in Equilibrium though.
He really
than in American Psycho, because he goes through all that in American Psycho, and at the end he's like, I haven't changed. I haven't really learned anything.
Nothing means anything. I don't care about anything.
Yeah.
And in Equilibrium, he's like he fights for his family. He fights for others. He realizes he loved his wife on some level.
Yeah.
It was really cool. But we start with American Psycho, and that was a really fun like horror movie, right?
Yeah.
Like as far like they mentioned like all the violence is played for laughs in a comedic fashion, which I think was a really good choice, because you still kind of follow this guy in his glamorous lifestyle, and you're not at every moment like absolutely detesting him.
It's true. It's weird how they do that, huh?
Yeah, it's this weird like switcheroo.
I think it's just so interesting. He's just so interesting that you still want to just follow his story.
Right?
You want him to get caught though.
Yeah, you want him. Yeah.
You don't care if like you're not afraid for him getting busted.
No, not even a little bit.
There's kind of like a little bit of Schadenfreude because like you kind of want to see him get busted.
But it's also so cool to see how he gets away with stuff and how he orchestrates all these events. Like he's fully in tune with this yuppie lifestyle of like always like having it's like at the end they're talking about, I don't want to eat anywhere. I mean, I don't care where we eat. I just want a reservation, one of his friends says. And that's like the whole mindset. It's like it's about having this status of having a reservation at a trendy restaurant.
Yeah. It's totally the 80s excess. They're doing coke in the bathrooms. He's cheating on his fiance, I think,
with another married chick, and everyone knows and no one cares.
And then he's banging prostitutes.
Yes, and murdering them.
And murdering them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think after
very excessive, and he seems to get away with everything. Like in his when he meets other people that aren't from his like place of work.
Yeah.
He's pretty well to do. Like,
oh yeah.
He makes money, he has a good apartment, he meets people. Like
but it's not the best apartment.
It's not the best.
Like the prostitute and like the homeless guy who he can like, help them, he can really change their lives, but
he just murders them.
He kills them. But then when he goes to work, like he's envious of people's like business cards.
Their hair. It's like sometimes like their haircut's
haircut.
nicer.
Yeah.
He's like judging like his value based off his haircut to somebody else.
Well, that's because one of the defining characteristics of a psychopath is their narcissism.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say that the movie is a very toned down version of the book, because the book is, you thought the movie was insanity. The book is like 5 times as bad,
Nice.
and it's
Well,
a fucking masterpiece.
I guess
Why
though
is
that's
the-
why it plays better as this tone would play better as in a movie. So that way you could still have this thing where you want to see this guy go through this whole arc.
And it had to get past, it had to get rated R so that it had a wide release instead of like NC-17 or
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh, it would have been like rated not appropriate for anyone.
Yeah, this would only be available like in like the back room of like non-chain like video stores.
I mean, there's literally a part in the book where he puts a pipe in a girl's ass and puts a fucking like, gerbil into the pipe and pulls the pipe out while the gerbil's inside her, and it claws her insides.
Ooh, claws. See, I've heard about the gerbil thing being just a regular practice, but the clawing thing, ew.
Well, that's why people like it. They like to scratch it.
Yeah, like the scratch. Yeah.
Scratch clawing.
So that's right. See, you're kink shaming. See, that's a normal kink of animal abuse. Yeah, no, no, that's terrible. But,
Well, they won't turn around. They'll just keep digging to try to find a way out.
oh, those poor gerbils. God, maybe PETA has a point. Oh, who am I kidding? No, they don't. Okay.
But, well, I wanted to say something about the movie as well.
Oh yeah.
I saw like a video essay about it some years ago, and I guess Patrick Bateman represents basically Wall Street and capitalism
Right.
in
And
America.
all the excesses.
And yeah.
Yeah, so he goes around killing people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at first he's kind of like, sickened by it. He's trying to like kind of come to terms with it.
It's a compulsion that he's like trying to deal with.
Yeah, but he also likes it, and he starts getting like questioned by the police, and he starts freaking out.
Yeah.
Whenever he meets the police officer, he's sweating and stuff.
Oh
right?
yeah.
And freaking out.
Those scenes with Willem Dafoe in the
Yeah,
movie
those-
were pretty good.
Yeah, I don't really get what Willem Dafoe was going for. It was kind of a weird.
Yeah, it's. I think they. I don't know. That was the weak. I think the weak part. Like their interactions are cool and they're both good actors, but it really doesn't go anywhere other than to feed Chris-June-Bale a little bit of data so he can like have people like where he. I don't even know what does he do with that information, because the next scene he's like getting hookers to go to that apartment of the guy he murdered.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't remember that part, but I remember that part where he's putting a bunch of salt on his food and just
Yeah,
staring
it's
at Willem Dafoe.
She's sitting there like it's like, oh yeah, it's like
Not
where who's seen him? What was the last time he was seen? It's like I think that might be more of like how untouchable he is and how no one's even it's like looking at him despite his horrible acts.
Yeah, and then that's like Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
And capitalism, especially what do they call it? Private equity funds, the ones that go out, buy companies, and then make them unprofitable, and then so they can sell them for some reason, and then like
There are times when they do that, yeah.
It's like these businesses that go and acquire these hedge funds that acquire other businesses and stuff, effectively, putting everyone out of business.
Yeah.
People lose their jobs. So he's going around killing people, right? And then his business, mergers and acquisitions, is also going around taking out businesses. People are getting fired from the jobs. People are maybe committing suicide or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's ruining people's lives.
Yeah, he's destroying lives.
So that's, and then like the cop, I guess, represents kind of like the very weak eye that authority has
Right.
on it.
Because he's endlessly just like, oh, so a lot of you're behaving very weirdly, not registering
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. So
you're
like,
in a cold sweat.
they'll never get busted because capitalism is just too powerful in this country, I guess.
Too powerful and evil.
Yeah, it's too much.
I love, but on a more silly note, I love his excuse whenever he has to get out of a situation.
I have to return some
I have to
videotapes.
return some TVs. Which is like, that is fucking phenomenal. I miss that. Like, I regret I never got to use that when because I was alive during the videotape era. That could have been getting out of all sorts of situations. Like I got to return some tapes.
I got to return some videotapes, and they were all porn tapes, I guess. I never put that together.
Yeah.
When I first saw that movie, the second time watching, I was like, oh, he does actually have like porn.
He does. He like just playing while he's doing stuff, and the other times when he's working out, he's like watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy, huh?
Right? Yeah. So it's always like reflective of what's like in his mind at the time. It's always like death or sex.
Yeah, and then somehow he gets a chainsaw in that one dude's apartment, and then like sawing chicks up, and he's.
Yeah.
I think that scene where he's chasing the girl down, and he's like naked and covered in blood.
That's
and
so
he's just,
fucking
like,
weird.
He's like a wolf and stuff. He's got his like teeth out and everything.
Yeah.
That's like his complete devolution into insanity.
I feel like if a cop came, he wouldn't shoot him. They'd still try to like arrest him and kind of
Like,
not kill him.
sir.
Sir, put the chainsaw down.
Well, I mean, he
'Cause of
threw the chainsaw. He wasn't armed at that point. Are you
Even when the
saying
cops, I'm making a joke about.
I was going to say, if the cops came,
referential humor.
it would have been probably after the chainsaw had already hit the girl, and he was just standing there laughing like a fucking maniac.
Naked. You couldn't say he reached into his pocket for something because it's like he reached up his ass for his backup gun.
I mean, I probably would have shot him.
Yeah, you'd probably be doing the world a favor. And at the very end, you start to realize, oh, this guy might not be in touch with reality because he like shoots a few shots at like the cop cars and they just explode.
Yeah, that's when it clicked for me. I was like, oh, this might all be in his head.
This might be an unreliable narrator. And at the very end, it turns out like the guy, his lawyer, who he confessed like his 40 plus murders to, thought he was mistaken for somebody else and was like, oh, I had dinner twice last week in London with the guy you murdered several weeks ago.
Yeah, and that's like our government turning a blind eye.
Or did he? Or was it all in his head? So we have no clue. And that was a cool kind of ambiguous ending to that.
Yeah.
What's interesting, though, is that they kind of sprinkle all throughout the film suggestions that he might just be imagining it, because there was a part where he was dragging the bloody body bag, and there were no, like, at first you see the track marks.
Yeah.
But then he's dragging it through the lobby, and you're seeing those. And then they cut to him talking to the doorman or someone.
He walks past the doorman, and then his friends come up to him, and he's like loading it into the trunk.
Yes, but like they show behind him, and there's no bloody track marks.
Yeah. So is that
so either that was a slip up,
Yeah,
or that was deliberate.
So that's a cool. Yeah. So I love that.
The first thing they comment on is the bag. Not
like,
that it's like, is there a body in there?
Where'd you get that bag from? It's like Gochi Bagana or something like. And that was cool. It's like either a mishap or actual poignant like commentary.
But the book leans you more towards he's crazy than the movie does. The movie just kind of wants it to be a little bit more ambiguous, but the book definitely makes it not quite so ambiguous and saying or suggesting that it really was all in his head and he's just fucking nuts.
That might be my next Audible thing once I'm done with The Name of the Wind and A Wise Man's Fear.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
I can tell you who narrated it too. Hold on.
Yeah, you look that up, and I'm going to walk us into Equilibrium, which is also a Christian-Bale movie where he deals with mental disorder.
Well, I was just going to say before that. I wonder if like thoughts, just having those kinds of thoughts are enough to kind of make you go crazy in your daily life. Like you're trying to do your job, right?
Yeah.
You're in your office and you're just thinking about like sawing up chicks or something like that.
I don't know.
I wonder if that has almost the same effect as actually doing it. The guilt or whatever of thinking that.
American Psycho is narrated by Pablo Schreiber, who was porn stash in Orange is the New Black.
Ooh.
So.
I don't know, porn stash.
Well, I know you never watched that.
Yeah, he was the guard who was having sex with the.
You mean raping?
Okay, it's been a while since I've seen that. Okay? Jesus.
Yeah, he was the rapist.
They have several scenes of intercourse, and some they're less ambiguous with some of those. Some of them, it's like that, but otherwise, one of them they frame very much as a relationship.
So Judge. Oh, sorry.
So it's very weird.
Spike, you view sex as being very rough. I mean, like you have a rough.
Well, I've seen several versions of. So wait, he was the one who was playing his DS, right? Because I remember that guy. If you consider a position of authority, as in, was that the one? Was he the one playing his?
I was just
I'm
smiling at you writing on your hand the
thing.
part to cut.
Yeah. Okay, so if you say fuck, now I totally lost my train of thought.
Porn Stash is the one who was majorly abusive to everyone, who definitely got off on the presumed authority that he had as a corrections officer in a women's prison.
Okay.
And he also had a porn stash, and that's why they called him Porn Stash.
I was just gonna say because
Okay.
Spike's range for sex is pretty wide, from like soft and gentle all the way up to extremely rough. So you can't tell like the difference between a rape scene and a love scene sometimes.
Okay,
it's the same with me.
Well,
I can't tell sometimes.
Whoa.
wow, that is something. Listen, I do
it has
have
to be
range.
really aggressive for me to realize that it's a rape scene.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, if the way the Hollywood defines
Jesus.
it, the way Hollywood defines it, if there's a language to that. So like, they didn't like cast it that way. They cast it as more of an abuse of authority as opposed to like sexual violence. So it was kind of weird. How, it didn't have that similar like cinema language of a rape.
I mean, I just want to point out to our 2 listeners that we actually have that it is illegal for a corrections officer to have sex with an inmate because it is technically rape due to the power dynamics and someone literally being imprisoned.
Well, that's why I'm not like arguing with you on that point. The way I was saying it, I'm saying the reason I didn't just say rape was because of the way it was framed.
But it's literally rape.
Yes.
I didn't see the show. I'm just messing with you guys.
Okay.
I'm just trying to make good
I
conversation.
got kind of burnt out on it right when that Martha Stewart analog came in.
No, she wasn't even supposed to be. She was supposed to be like fucking Paula Deen.
Oh, Paula Deen. Oh yeah, someone like that.
Basically.
Paula Deen.
Oh yeah.
She's like a combination between Martha Stewart and Paula Deen.
Okay, but we moved on to Equilibrium. And this is Christian-Bale has another epiphany that feeling feelings is good. And
what?
Yeah, it was. It's actually I really like the action scenes in it, and like the only reason I'm kind of burning out on it is because that was like the 8th time I've seen that movie this year.
Really?
No, I'm kidding. I've seen it like a bunch of times, and after a while you start to be like, okay, that's the part where he does that. That's the part where he does that.
Yeah.
But the first time you see it, like the gun kata is awesome, and it's the whole conceit is we've done science on this martial art where we treat the gun as a total weapon, and so you just stand in one spot and shoot everyone and don't get hit.
And it's based on guns, martial arts, and statistics.
Yeah,
all come together.
All beautiful. Yeah, it's kind of like they base it kind of off stick fighting, which is why it looks kind of the way it does, where he has like these long Berettas with the huge compensators on them. And I saw the director's commentary version of this a while back, and there is like themes of like either Big Brother and or God, because they got the cross sections everywhere, the T.
Oh yeah.
It's vaguely cross-esque, and you have faith, and you're looking up to higher powers all the time. And they're always talking about how feelings give us a lot, can lead to brutality, but not feeling and not having compassion leads to also brutality. Which it was really cool to me.
Yeah, that's true. That's interesting, huh?
So yeah, we saw this one more recently, so I have it more fresh in my mind. I like that Sean Bean was in it, and of course he died.
He died, pretty early on.
Pretty early on.
Is that a thing for him? Does he die early on?
Oh yeah, like
and
there's videos where he always dies. He was Boromir, man.
I mean, the only movies where he doesn't die early is like National Treasure.
Yeah, and he just goes to prison, so he dies in his soul. A spoiler alert for National Treasure. Jesus.
He's either sentenced to death or to life in prison.
Yeah, guys. But what I like is like their mission seems to be we have to go find tchotchkes to destroy.
Yeah.
There is some art.
It's kind of based after Fahrenheit 451 or whatever.
But it's a way better version. Like the
the firemen that go around burning books.
Yeah.
Is kind of like the premise of that, right?
But instead of like fire, they have guns. But they do have some fire too.
Yeah, they have like flamethrowers too.
Oh yeah, and they roll up heavy.
They find the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Somehow.
And apparently said that thing was they made it way bigger.
Yeah. Mona Lisa is not actually as big as they made it look.
It's not 4 feet from corner to corner.
that was. I think that they made it look bigger than it actually.
I think it
is.
probably played better because if they held up the actual Mona Lisa, it would be like it's like 1.5 feet or something.
I could actually tell you.
Look at the.
Well, I think most people when they go see the Mona Lisa, they expect it to be bigger than it actually is.
The Mona Lisa is
That's why they
2.5 by like 1 foot 9 inches.
Jesus. Oh yeah, no, that would not.
It's fucking
play.
small.
That would not play well on screen. Like if he held
literally half the size.
it wouldn't come up to his damn shin.
No.
You would be sitting there like it's authentic, and it's like okay, flame it, and it's like oh, just use use some lighter fluid. Don't use the flamethrower. Just.
I mean, that shouldn't have taken me out of the movie, but I was like, they could have at least made it look the right size.
Well, it's like one of those things when you know something, it does pop you out of the movie.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously that was done for effect.
Yeah. So that wasn't so much bad as much as it is something if you've seen it, you're like, whoa. I like that they only seem to have like one style of car because like American Psycho, the movie's budget is a little limited because you saw they only had one car basically they were using.
Yeah. And in American Psycho, I noticed that they used like backdrops for like
really
the windows
shitty.
and stuff.
It was like the budget of a like a sitcom. When you're into like for American Psycho, it's like you're sitting there like and you see like Frasier, and it's like here's my posh apartment and my obvious matte painting outside.
Yeah.
But for
the matte paintings in Equilibrium were a little bit better. There was like movement going on.
Yeah, they had
and stuff.
CG. So like when he first like misses his dose.
Yeah.
And he's like sees the rain and he like starts to peel off like the weird film they have over his window and he sees the view for the first time. That's some pretty good acting, by the way.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite scenes. There's a lot going on there.
That poignant.
Because not only did they give people doses to like numb their emotions.
Yeah.
But they also had safeguards to prevent them from like actually feeling anything. Like,
you have to burn all the stuff that would make you feel.
So like putting a film over the window, but why? I don't know why. Like they still had the window there,
right?
If they didn't want, so like you can have the window, but you have to have a film over it so you don't completely enjoy the view.
That sounds like that was either that's a mistake like the blood thing in American Psycho, or it was a deep cut to their bureaucracy. It's like they need vitamin D, but we can't let them have that. So this film will let UV rays pass through,
but they can't enjoy the majesty of the sun.
No.
And he had a really good view. That was
seriously.
an expensive apartment.
Oh yeah,
whatever he had,
I'm not sure where they came up with all
world.
these sets. Like I don't know. Like it looked like it might be a super like modern. What's that ugly style of art of architecture for like government buildings? It's all concrete and shit.
I don't really know.
What? You don't know?
Seriously, you don't know what the? Okay.
Concrete, modern.
Okay, well, some sort of modern because like
form follows function. Type style.
Because every like when he shows him running up to his apartment while it's about to be inspected, it looks like an actual like series of doors heading to apartments, just in a really like super concrete, building.
The architecture was very oppressive. In that film, lots of gray, lots of concrete,
and had a real like communist Russia feel.
Yeah, very Louis Kahn, but actually watching it, I actually really like the architecture for what do you call that? Those 19 what do you call those societies?
A communist?
Dystopian?
Oh yeah,
dystopian architecture. I really appreciate. I like.
You like that?
Yeah.
It feels like a strong state is guiding your every move.
I don't know. There's something really just cool about. Ever since I saw Planet of the Apes 4 and the dystopian architecture in that film.
Oh, yeah, it was good stuff.
Every time I see a movie with dystopian architecture, it's just like really, really cool because it's like blocky, really big, no extra ornamentation. There's no, it's very form follows function. It doesn't do anything else except,
shield you,
people. Yeah.
Shield you from the elements. And Oh, that's true. I don't know. It's like there seems to be a disconnect because when he's walking down that oval like hallway, then you get into his house. There's like a white walls and stuff everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like a disconnect there for me. His office looks like they just cleaned out like a drainage system of some sort.
Yeah.
It's
very uncomfortable too. Like he's supposed to be the number one
tetragrammaton
cleric, But he's just like in a big row of desks with everyone else. Do you
Right?
think he'd get like a corner office or something
Yeah,
like
and
that?
there
or
is
his
some-
own-
No, because they're minimalists.
I know they're minimalist, but he didn't realize that until he got off the doses. He's
Yeah.
like, man, I feel like I need like a wall behind me. There's like a bunch of
They
people.
all lead identical lives and stuff. Oh yeah, and well, remember, like his boss had like a super big office, and I think that was another like point about like governments like that is like,
Do as I say, not as I do.
yeah, do as I say, not as I do, and really we all say we're serving a greater cause, and this is all for all of us to have like a better life together. But realistically, you're pushing all that power up to that one guy with a really big, nice office.
Yeah. And he probably wasn't even taking his doses because, that guy gets all pissed off. And
Yeah,
stuff.
and that's the thing where you find out like Christian-Bale, as he starts to go through this journey of feeling again, he doesn't hide it very well.
I know. There's a lot of back and forth too. Like there's a lot of Christian Bale's winning, then he loses. I win, I lose, I win,
Oh, yeah,
I
well-
lose. There's a lot of like back and forth and like, double crossing and cutting each other off at the pass and everything.
Well, and yeah, his boss, who like is actually the president, they just hid the fact that the old guy died. He just admits at the end, it's like, I feel. He's trying to beg for his life at that moment.
Oh, yeah.
But he doesn't hide it very well either. Earlier on, when he starts screaming at him, he bangs on his desk and says, "Are you playing with me?" And like you sit there at that point, you realize, oh, something's up.
Yeah, and there's several times where Christian Bale should have been arrested by them, but he just doesn't.
Like by
He
those
talks
kids,
his-
by those kids who are like point out people. Like for some reason
Yeah.
they have the Tetragrammaton youth.
Yeah, and then there's the one where he's like emotionally running to see the execution of
Right.
the woman where she gets flamed, and then he sees her get like torched,
Oh yeah.
and then like he's just sitting there watching it, and then he
Well, he
obviously
wasn't.
cries
He was
and leaves.
facing away. They didn't see his face.
Yeah, they
But then
see
he
his-
like runs back out, and then he like collapses to the floor, crying.
Everyone's
in
just
front of
walking
everybody.
by. It's like, you think
And
even
that's when Tay Diggs comes
shows up and punches him with the,
while he's crying. He's like, "I knew it, bitch. You're crying."
and then he starts yelling in like some sort of like impassioned fashion, like, he is the worm that has been eating at the core of our great society. And he has like this emotional moment, and I think that's more of a conceit to show like this guy is just a power hungry asshole.
Well, that was just to try to trick him. They wanted to trick Christian Bale.
I guess so, yeah.
So then he puts the white suit on. He's like, he thinks he's doing good, and they're like,
oh yeah,
"No, we just made you think."
yeah. Well,
I thought I
to
was-
explain that, he works with the resistance. He goes and finds them, and they know he's feeling. And he says, "Look, the only way I can get close to Father is if I give you up. I have to have an accomplishment to get a meeting with Father." And so he does that, and it turns out he's been manipulated by his boss the whole time. It's
Yeah.
like, how do I? Because they
Along
show,
with Tay Diggs' character.
along with Tay Diggs' character, and it's like they figure out that he's intuitive, so they push him on this path to feeling and getting into their ranks, and then manipulate him. But then once they drop the bomb on him, they forgot to check like his wrist holsters.
I know. He had wrist holsters.
It's like like that's like standard Tetragrammaton cleric gear. Maybe you feel his wrists a little bit.
And it looks like the way they did those shots was they probably had like a little string that pulled them in, and then they just played it in reverse. for
Yeah,
them to come
probably.
out. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, and those wrist things had a lot of like stuff on because it had the guns, and then later on, like in that same sequence, he had extra magazines in there too. And like a Beretta magazine's about it's like 4 inches long, maybe 5, and and so that plus a full size combat Beretta with like an extra 3 inches of a compensator on it, we're also up there. Like he must
Yeah.
have like a 1.5 foot long.
I think he
arm.
he walked in with a sword.
Yeah.
They're like, "Here, just give us your sword, your only weapon that you have."
Yeah, there's no way you have any other. Like, it's very weird to have like that. Your dress uniform also has a decorative sword in this minimalist society.
I know. And then like all the pageantry for the execution where they're putting the hood on her and everything.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of weird holdovers. That's just mainly so the movie can have some fucking
I know.
some flavor to it. Otherwise, it's just going to be all concrete halls and people going like, "Well, thank you for this information. I'm going to go now."
I know they can do like a Netflix series. Imagine how boring that would be,
Oh,
like in
God.
that world before like he comes before
Oh, so-
like Christian Bale's character.
Well, that's why they focus on him because he has a
Comes-
cool job.
Yeah. Yeah, that would suck.
And speaking of his job, like some of those fight scenes,
But
go ahead.
back on the scene where he finally, gets the Berettas.
yeah,
There's that scene where he's hooked up to the polygraph, right?
Yeah.
And then like it's going all crazy because
Yep.
he's feeling emotion, and then it stops. And then the one dude's like, "Oh shit!"
Oh shit! Yeah. Well, yeah.
Because when he stops feeling emotion, it's
you
when
know,
he's
you know
ready.
it's on.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the other things they mentioned in the commentary was that it doesn't like destroy emotion entirely. It gets rid of the highs and lows.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's about as high as you get. Is like, oh shit! Like, oh man, I forgot my fajita in the microwave.
Yeah, I've had days like that where I didn't feel any high or low emotions. We all have those days.
Yeah. Well, there's a solution for that. It's called therapy.
Or just watch
And all of us in this house need it.
We really do.
and just go on Facebook and then you'll start feeling some high emotions.
Oh yeah, you will.
Just go watch the news.
Just watch the news, talk to people. Just disagree with anyone about anything, and it'll devolve pretty quick. So wait, we were saying, oh yeah, those fight scenes. Like, I really like the one where like he's helping those after he started like feeling he is helping some people escape, and then he like flips his guns around and decides instead of shooting them, I'm gonna do this thing where I pistol whip them all to death.
Yeah, to save ammo.
To say, yeah, you got to save ammo, and like for some reason there's little like things that stick out of the magazines so he could hit better.
You know, it's
They look like nail heads.
Right? It's
you know
like,
what's crazy when I see movies like there's this Equilibrium, and then there's the one with Thor in it, Chris Hemsworth, where
Yeah.
he's in India. What's that movie called?
oh yeah, that was Extraction.
Extraction, Equilibrium.
That was with the same stunt team as Avengers.
Yeah, so there's movies like this where in Extraction, Chris Hemsworth's character like takes out like 100 people or more. Like he's
Oh,
like
yeah.
a one-man army. And the same with this movie. Like the number one tetragrammaton in this society is Chris-June-Bale. They could just fire like 50% of
Of their workforce.
of their like tetragrammatons, right?
Yeah, this guy really, like everyone else, they really don't show him like doing the same thing he does.
I think there's like 3 or 4 scenes where he takes out like 20 or more people.
Oh yeah. It's like down that hallway at the very end when he's getting to the office. Then in the hallway or in the office, he like walks in and it's like everyone just walks out from behind pillars, like guys with swords, and he takes them all out.
He takes out like the top guys. Those are like the Marine level, I think.
Yeah, something
guys.
like that. They all had black
The s-
trench coats, so they were pretty cool.
Yeah, the SEAL level.
Yes, and
He takes them all out.
he takes out Tay Diggs he slices his fucking face off like
That was a little bit too easy. They should have been more of a fight there.
a little bit, but then the fight with his boss.
The French guy at the end. I think he was French, right?
Yeah, his main boss.
That was like pretty good fight.
Yeah, because it was like Sam, you were both right, and I think you weren't like buying into the conceit a little bit when they were saying like you're just gonna shoot him, right? And yeah, but like there's this conceit where it's a martial art and it's all for show. And so like, and also like the area of danger for like a Beretta is literally 9 millimeters wide. So as long as you're not in front of that 9 millimeter straight line, you're good. There's more places where you are not than where you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's just facts.
That's like what I like to think about when I consider the Earth right here sitting target and a bunch of
Yeah.
asteroids just flying through space.
Yeah.
There's more places where the asteroids are flying to than the one little spot that
Where
the
we
Earth
are.
is in.
Yep.
Right here.
Exactly. And try to ignore the fact that we have gravitational well. But no, that was a good fight because they're like knocking like the gun offline, and I mean they're going deaf, like completely deaf. If that was going to happen,
Doing what?
like when they're okay, if I shoot a gun a half a foot away from your ear,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to lose like probably 10% of your hearing.
Oh yeah, they kept doing a bunch of all that shit.
Like
yeah.
right next to their heads, but it looked great because they're like parrying with the guns and like doing like dance moves while they try to like keep that gun pointed away.
So maybe the explanation for at the end when he's like, "I feel just like you do. Don't shoot me." He just didn't hear him because he.
Yeah, he's like,
His
what?
ears
I just got into a gunfight in a stone hallway. What?
I feel. He's like, "I'm just gonna shoot you."
Yeah, just bam. It's like, wait. It's like I just have this line I was thinking of earlier. I'd pay it gladly. He's just learning how to feel emotion, so he doesn't know how to be cool yet. He just thought that up. It didn't make sense in any other context except for this one where he says, "Would you pay that price?" I'm like, I pay it gladly. Bam. Like, did you kill him? Oh yeah, I had this great line. He was like saying something, but I couldn't hear him. It's like, what was the line? I'd pay it gladly. What does that mean? I just thought it'd be cool to say. Listen, you've never read a book before, I guess, so we'll get you some stuff. Oh my god. But I did like that every sense offenders.
Sense offender.
Yeah, every one of their secret hideouts was just like a hoarder's like nest.
I know, it's full of like a bunch of tchotchkes and very hipster. It looks like that girl that likes to put lights up in her room.
Yep.
And she's got like posters with triangles on it.
I'm really into dolphins, and I went through a dragon phase earlier.
A lot of wood grain.
Oh yeah. Well, that's how you tell a sense offender.
No CD players, but they have record players.
No, they had a CD. That was the weird thing. He had a CD player, but then he went to the record player.
Oh, really?
See,
Yeah.
like if he didn't go to the record player, he'd just start playing like Metallica. He went to the CD.
But they decided to play that one. What was it? Beethoven.
Oh yeah,
or Bach or something.
Da, 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 bum, bum, bum. And yeah, he starts to cry. And I guess it's good that Taye Diggs didn't walk.
I know.
in.
What if they just walked in? Like, what if
They're crying.
Army just walked in on him? He's like, "What are you listening to? This music and
Yeah, I
crying?
have an allergy. That's what it is.
This music is so powerful."
I don't know. Okay, so that being
I've never cried to music or art. Just want to let you know, guys.
You're too much man.
You don't even like music. Doesn't give you goosebumps either.
No. Well, there's a thing that some people have
Spike's trying to.
Keep going. We got some time. We got a little bit of time.
when people experience good music
Yeah.
or good art, some people actually like become emotional and start crying.
Oh yeah, that happens to me every now and then.
When was the last time?
I haven't felt that
I
yet.
was visiting my mom in Minnesota. I got a little buzzed at the bar and grill. We saw the movie Sing, and when that elephant chick's singing Hallelujah, I got a little teared up. Literally.
But I think that maybe is a little different. I think because Victor, you cry sometimes.
Well, for movies
during
and stuff.
movies.
No, that was a movie, and she was singing. It was a very beautiful moment.
But we're talking about like.
Just the song.
Oh, just the song? No, I'm too much man. I do get ASMR. Like when a song really hits me, I get like a tingly feeling up in my scalp.
I mean, like certain songs that are sung, like Freddie Mercury singing Barcelona, will give me goosebumps every fucking time. But Victor does not have that reaction whatsoever.
No, I kind of wish I did, but then I'd be like standing in like in an art gallery and just crying like an asshole.
Well, no one
Like
says you
an
have to
asshole.
fucking cry. Like that's not.
You can feel feelings. You don't have to put Prosium up your ass when you go to an art gallery. What was it? No, I think one of the reasons I don't like cry for songs is I also like put together music videos in my head for songs with a lot of fight scenes. So like that's kind of my thing.
So what's the fight scene for Hallelujah?
That one that was in a movie, so I didn't.
But I mean, like the fight scene for
It'd be a lot of slow motion. I couldn't do one for that. Like the songs I listen to, like they're a little more fast paced and they have a lot of beat to them.
You could do fight. You can do fight scenes for any song.
I do this. You could, but like
slow.
for what was it, the Wood Kids Iron? There's a slower one that speeds up and slows down in my head. And, there's a belt-fed machine gun in there too. There's also swords. But look, that being said, that little peek into my insanity. I'm your host, Spike.
I'm Victor.
I'm Samantha.
Thanks for listening to the Transmit Podcast. We're gonna, I guess, keep. Oh wait, I gotta. Shit, we took too long, and I gotta. There we go. And okay, now I guess we're just gonna watch a bunch of Chris-June-Bale movies.
Chris-June-Bale.
Chris-June-Bale. All right, the Dark Knight begins. No, I'm kidding. We'll figure something out. So thanks for listening to the Transmit Podcast. See you next time.
I just remember that movie was Reign of Fire, not Ring of Fire.
Oh yeah, Regime of Fire. Okay.
Reagan of Fire.
And there we go. I tried to back up.
Oh, Reagan of Fire.
Oh god, that movie was awful. We should watch that.